Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
I don't even know where to start on this. So we've been covering the situation with Bob Iger returning as Disney CEO, and we've been talking about how everybody thinks Bob Iger is going to fix all the problems in Disney, but he created a lot of the problems.
A lot of media is starting to pick up on that. They're like, yeah, but he created the problem. It's like, no shit.
Yeah, so The Hollywood Reporter is running this article today where the cartoon they've got is Mickey pleading with Bob Iger to come in and fix Disney World, which is apparently burning down.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, the parks, I will say that the parks under Chapek have gotten worse. I mean, no, they were pretty bad before the pandemic. We had boats sinking.
Yes.
On the Jungle Cruise. They've been sinking in Splash Mountain. They aren't fixing things. It's been an ongoing issue, but I think in some ways it's actually gotten worse in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think it started to get bad before Iger stepped down the first time because of the Fox acquisition. I think they spent a lot of money on Fox, which is I think behind him getting gone.
But it's funny because Chapek allegedly got gone because he was, juggling the things around, money from different projects around to put at Disney Plus to make it look more profitable. But if he overspent on Fox and they weren't using the budgets they had set up to fix stuff at the parks, how is that any different?
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Who was the boss before the old boss?
So this is the old boss. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about Michael Eisner congratulating Bob Iger on his return. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Michael Eisner coming back to Disney in some capacity.
I'd just like to have a CEO who wasn't like 70-something.
That would be, well...
Chapek wasn't, but he looks it.
He looks it. Yeah, Chapek, I swear to God, Chapek has aged like 50 years in the last 2 years. Then we're going to talk about this clip that's making the rounds now about Bob Iger trying to quiet things down politically. And I think that means he's going to use a little more finesse. I'll be honest, if Bob Iger was in charge, I don't think the Reedy Creek thing would have gone south as fast as it did because he is a good talker.
But he would have totally been like, he would have been very against all the Florida bill issues.
Oh, he would have been.
But he would have been more skilled in handling the situation.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it.
I mean, nothing's going to change. I mean, in that regard, he would have, gone against it too, but he would have done it
in such a way that they wouldn't have lost Reedy Creek.
Right.
And I think that's one thing they're looking at Bob Chapek. They're like, regardless of the company's official position, Bob Chapek was clumsy. He wasn't choosing his words very carefully. He looked like a buffoon, like walking things back a week after he said. And, Iger
stayed out of it.
Iger would have just given a bunch of non-answers to try to make everybody happy.
That's what he does. He just doesn't answer the question, talks around the question.
And then we'll talk about Disney stock. So let's
go down again.
Let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 281, almost 282,000 subs. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're still subscribed. Somebody told me in the comments that, and I apologize, I don't read all the comments. I come across them sometimes. We get a lot these days, but somebody was like, yeah, this is like the 5th time I've subscribed to you guys.
Well, that's telling, isn't it?
It is telling. This is the Hollywood Reporter. Bob Iger's austerity era begins at Disney behind his most pressing concerns. It's like, oh, come on, Bob. You got to fix other Bob's mistakes. But that
was started by you, Bob.
By you, yeah.
You can just say it's Bob's fault and be completely right every time. Just say it's Bob's fault.
Blame Bob. What about Bob? So this is interesting. Iger told the assembled Disney employees at the town hall meeting, a lot has changed, but the sun is still shining and our Disney World is still spinning.
It's all burning down around us, but it's okay. We still have the sun. It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. It's a world of hopes and a world of fears. There's so much that we share. This time we're aware. It's a small world after all. Next question.
I was going to say it's a clown world after all, but
no, that means we're running it. No, I'm sorry.
We're on the clown show now, bitches.
I'm just like, he basically here's a pressing question. Doesn't matter. The sun's still out. That's like the most Pollyanna. Anyway,
it's like, I mean, this is very much like Megamind. This is like Megamind. Megamind. You're creating the disaster so you can be the hero. Basically, So Iger's return to Disney comes after the ousting and the fact that there are macroeconomic issues going on. We're going to talk about this. I talked about
They
this.
were doing that in their call.
I love it because here's the thing. Here's what's so weird about this. This is going to be a year of reckoning for Hollywood. They had a bump. They had 2 years where everybody was locked in their houses, watching a lot more TV, a lot more streaming, and they thought that things were going to go like that forever. Now that everybody's getting out of the house and things are kind of sort of going back to normal, we're starting to see what's going to happen, which is a lot of these companies overspent on streaming content. They overspent on, building up their tech businesses too quick. That's what happened with Facebook. Think it was never going to end. And now it's all crashing down. Like all these studios, tech
People
companies.
kept asking, what happens after people go back to work?
It's happening in gaming, tabletop gaming. Wizards of the Coast, they were making bank off of Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons during the pandemic. And they're like, man, it's just going to keep going up and up and up and up. It's like, no, once people leave their houses again.
It's bold of you to assume that some of those people leave their houses.
Once normal people start leaving their houses again,
the people that were causing the most trouble and screeching about the most things and having to have a coffee shop, a coffee shop gaming module, probably haven't left their houses. They're just probably screaming at Twitter now.
they are. And look how that's changed. Twitter was ground zero for cancel culture and all this weirdness, and people were getting a very distorted view of reality from Twitter. And then Musk swoops in after people said that could never happen. It could never happen. Musk would never be able to buy it. Buys it. Now Twitter's the devil. Like within 2 months, Twitter has become the devil. Mm-hmm. Before Twitter was like, well, Twitter says it's true. It's totally true. It must be.
Now it's not true because it's on Twitter.
And the weird thing about Iger, with Twitter, they were going to buy it. Disney was going to buy Twitter. Can you imagine Disney's Twitter?
And you know why they didn't buy Twitter? They said it was too toxic.
It was too toxic.
And that was back like in 2013, something
It
like
was
that.
a while ago. Yeah. They were like, we don't want anything to do with this. But I misread this sentence here. They're talking about Disney's successors, and I saw who sticks.
You thought that who stinks?
No, I thought it said the Disney successors were fighting each other with sticks. I thought it was like the Dark Knight, like he broke the pool cue. It was like, okay, Bob versus Bob. Whichever Bob is left, you're in charge of Disney. So they're like, it must have been really hard for him watching from the sidelines, watch all of his work burn down because of Chapek.
Well, his work was already setting the company down the spiral before Chapek came. Chapek inherited, like I said, again, I'm not making excuses for Bob Chapek. Bob Chapek has made a lot of bad decisions. He was called Bob Paycheck for a reason. When he got made CEO, people were like, oh shit, then. So I'm not making excuses. But a lot of Iger's choices, what Chapek had to clean up or got blamed for, he did it incorrectly. And now they're acting like, Bob won is, like, oh my God, he's amazing. He's going to fix it all.
This is like, not the answer to Town Hall. I do believe the past can be a beacon to light a path to the future.
I can't. What is like? Do you think he can write these down before he goes on thing? Someone asks a question. Well, how do you deflect?
I don't know.
What is your opinion of the stock crashing? Well, at least it is. At least it can rebound. Maybe it'll. The sun's still shining.
Well, he's basically trying to console everyone. Like, yeah, it's gonna be fine, guys. Everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna rebuild. We're gonna come back. We're gonna build back better.
Why are we so political? But political is a state of mind, and I don't agree with that. We're political.
I thought everything. We're gonna get there. I thought everything was fine with Disney. I thought Disney was fine. Everything was fine. I think it's a lot worse than they're letting on.
Right.
And there are some rumors. Now, I can't verify this. Apparently, some other YouTubers were talking about it, that they think that Disney pushed some money over into FTX or something.
I don't know.
Me
about that too. I think our one writer, Mr. Marlowe, mentioned it to me. I didn't look into that. I think that wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But I don't know. I didn't do anything with that. So.
But the way that this was done, and I think we're going to find out more as the weeks march on here, that Disney is in much, much worse shape. So
they overspent them, then possibly lost a lot of money on that too.
Yes, that's what I think is going on here.
Oh shit, got time to make cuts and layoffs.
Yeah, well, that's what he's basically saying, because they're like, well, just because he said the sun's coming out doesn't mean changes won't be made fast. They said they kicked Daniel out the damn door, Kareem Daniel, and he might return the P&L responsibilities to the division heads, basically roll things back before Chapek tried to consolidate everything in the streaming. But that was Bob Iger's plan. Bob Iger wanted to go all in on streaming. He wanted to be a Netflix competitor. And here's the problem. The biggest problem with Disney is Disney's great when Disney Disneys. But when
they don't Disney anymore.
They don't Disney anymore. But when Disney, stays in its lane, it does what it does best, and they're firing on all cylinders. I mean, just look at all the talent they've bled out over the last couple of years. So many people have left. So many of the really great animators have left. They've gone elsewhere because Disney obviously doesn't give a shit about animation anymore. Chapek has said as much. They've lost so much talent. But when Disney's, they do it really well. What happens is they overextend themselves and they try to get into stuff that isn't in Disney's wheelhouse. And then the wheels come off.
But sometimes they're smart about things and they bring people in and know what they're doing, but that's another video. Actually, I'm going to do a video where I think Disney's doing something right later.
We are.
So yeah, be like, you always complain. It's like, no, I'm going to point out something they're doing correctly, but it's not in this video.
They said that Chapek's reorganization made some much needed changes for streaming in the first age, for a streaming first age.
Yeah, I think in some ways it was helpful because he was trying to get things done faster, but I don't know, it wasn't it was more about money than creativity.
Well, and what's going on here is they basically flipped the switch and they're like, we're going all in on streaming. And then they saw Netflix and Warner Brothers and HBO Max, all stuff hit a wall and they're like, oh shit.
Well, part of the problem was it wasn't even Chapek's fault. There's too much competition.
Yeah,
but then raising the price when everybody else is lowering the price was probably not the smartest thing to do either.
No. So they said in the contrast to streaming losses, revenue at Disney's domestic parks rose by 44% year over year to $5 billion. Yeah, because they jacked the prices. An employee in the parks division, Chapek's division before being made CEO, says morale has been low in that unit. The reaction to Iger returning has been universal joy and excitement from everyone. He's very good at telling people what they want to hear. Let's put that
That's true. I mean, yeah. And the parks were having issues and things were breaking and not being fixed before Chapek came in. I want to point that out. Under Iger, things weren't getting fixed because he overspent on flipping Fox. And so they just weren't doing things they needed. They overextended themselves on projects too, which is why when the pandemic hit, a lot of things got canceled. We don't have the Spaceship Earth reimagining. We don't have the Mary Poppins ride anymore. The one that we're building where River Country was, the one hotel, they stopped doing the DVC.
Oh yeah. They canceled a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they canceled a bunch of stuff when the pandemic hit, because they had they had overextended themselves on these projects, and that's great, except the fact that they weren't finishing the projects they had, and a lot of things were breaking, and they weren't fixing what was breaking because they were too busy trying to spend money on new things.
And Epcot's a freaking disaster.
Oh yeah, that was all Chapek's, or no, Iger's.
That was Iger, yeah, because
idea. It's all Iger's idea.
That's his new. See, when
you try to say Chapek and Iger, you get idea. It was Iger's idea, yeah, and that was under him. And that he presented the Blue Sky at 2019. 2019.
Was it 2019? 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
You're right, 2017.
It was 2017 at D23, and they had all these.
God, all months together. We've been doing this a long time.
They had all these huge plans for Epcot, and people were pretty excited. They're like, finally, they're fixing Epcot, and they get like a third of the way into it, and they start cutting the budget almost immediately.
Things were cut.
They started knocking down buildings without having replacements ready. I mean, they were going to put up that festival pavilion. Now we got a big hole
now
there.
They're putting that Moana walkthrough thing.
Well, I think that was part of the plan, but I think they cut back on what it was supposed to be.
I don't know. Now there's rumors might be a Moana ride coming, but that could be when they did the presentation this last time. But that get cut. I don't know. They had the whole Wonders of Life pavilion. That was supposed to be a play pavilion. It's supposed to be gotten cut.
Well, it's so funny because, again, back that last D23, it was the most underwhelming D23 ever. Because
I've never seen it that underwhelming.
They're like, we have all these ideas, but we don't know if Bob is going to let us do any of them. So here are some ideas, guys.
We might possibly maybe do.
Clap real loud if you like Zootopia, and maybe Daddy
it'll live.
Yeah, maybe Daddy Chapek.
If you want Zootopia to live, come on.
You can do it.
We've been doing this a long time, and I've never seen it that bad. I was like, whoa, what the hell is this?
The only thing I can think of in terms of where Disney is at, since I've been paying attention, would be after 9/11. They had a massive hit to the theme park attendance. Obviously, people weren't traveling. They put hotels on hold. The other half of the Pop Century, which became Art of Animation, was abandoned for years.
It was creepy, man.
It was really creepy.
It was like a ghost empty shell hotel before they decided to put Art of Animation over there, and it was freaky. Look across the Hourglass Lake, and then it was like this abandoned shell. It was freaky as heck.
And they were doing a lot of cost cutting then, and a lot of rides were getting canceled then. And then we look at
it's kind of going back to what it was.
Dino Land USA, which was done on the cheap, and that's kind of what this feels like. Now he said that he's probably going to put Chapek's plan to launch a cost structure task force on hold, but they said that they are going to have to find places to cut costs. Much like every other media and tech company, Iger plans to keep Chapek's hiring freeze and travel reduction rules in place. So they weren't allowed to go travel and spend freely.
You had to have permission, like you had to have authorization.
Like any other company?
Yeah.
You have to run it by your boss. Like, hey, is it cool if I go spend $5,000 to go to Tahiti to wine and dine a client? I mean, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so weird. It's like the stuff that these companies are doing, the cutbacks, it's like, oh my God, these tech companies are starting to sound like any other business where they have to justify costs. You know, the money's just not maybe
I should stop suing everyone and their brother, and
Yeah. Now look. I mean, we don't know. The rumor still is the Apple thing. I don't know. That actually does make sense. More and more
sense.
Given
that it's Iger, but they had that rumor around for years.
Yeah, but they're really. I mean, here's the thing. If they're in the shit that they owe a lot of money, I mean, honestly, Apple could cut a check and make all those problems disappear.
But if they owe a lot of money, they'll say it's a pandemic. But they owed a lot of money before the pandemic, or they cut the reserves before the pandemic because they overspent, and that was Iger.
Yes.
So
again, they're hailing him as Mr. Fix-It, but he's Wreck-It Ralph and Fix-It Felix all in one. He's wrecking it, then he's fixing it.
And he's like, "Look, I'm the savior."
Yeah, it's like like I said, Megamind.
I'm the Mickey Messiah.
The Mickey Messiah. There we go. So just to give a shout out to Mr. Milo here, he found out that Michael Eisner did congratulate Bob Iger on returning. That's got to be hard to do because Eisner got pushed out and they brought...
I think everybody knows that Chapek was the wrong choice.
Yeah, everybody was even like, they're like, well, okay, of all the people, they're like, wait, Bob Chapek.
Yeah,
oh, God, not Bob Chapek.
When we heard that, we were like, wait, Bob Chapek? That's what they went with?
So what's interesting is he's gone from the company completely because he was in charge. He had Josh D'Amaro's job. And a lot of the bleeding of the parks guests and the budget cuts and all that shit happened on his watch when he was in charge of the parks, and he's out the door completely. And Josh D'Amaro actually likes the parks and he likes the Disney fans, and he's not just a bean counter. But again, Disney's in a tight financial place. I mean, I'd love to be like, hey, now we finally get all the stuff fixed and we get another park. They do the fifth gate, all this stuff, the blue sky stuff. They're going to do it. And
no, they're not. And then Epic Universe is going to kick their ass.
Epic Universe is absolutely positively going to kick their ass. I mean, at this point, it's like, you guys, if you were going to do another gate, you needed to announce it.
They think losing Harry Potter was bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
what's so weird. Like, Universal was a distant second to Disney until Disney had a falling out with J.K. Rowling, and they let her, go to Universal, and they took a bunch of Imagineers over there, and they built
Eisner let them go.
Yeah.
They went over there and built the stuff for Universal. Now they made their own competition at this point. Look, the winners in that are going to be the people that want to go to the parks because you're going to be able to have choices and you can go to both. I mean, just because you're going to have Epic Universe, but you can still go to Disney if you want to. I mean, it's good for the consumer, not for the prices, because I mean, let's be honest, Universal's going to jack their prices, guaranteed.
Oh yeah,
so it's going to cost more, but you'll have choices.
That is true. But yeah, Eisner, I love this. Walt Disney Company has suffered in recent years. No, everything's fine. What would you know about it, you cis white male? What would you know about Disney? You don't know anything about Disney. This is a good time for us to remember the words of Walt, who said, everybody falls down. Getting back up is how you learn to walk. Are we allowed to invoke the name of Walt? I hope they rely heavily on Walt, because Walt lost his ass many, many times until he finally succeeded. So I guess we'll wrap up here with we'll talk about stock price. It's not great.
I mean, it's better than it was like a couple weeks ago, but it's still not great.
No, and everybody's like, oh God, I hope Bob Iger makes the stock prices go up, because a lot of people were buying Disney when it was over $100 a share. And, it hit like 200 and something. And I remember, I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to totally be that guy. We had people, Disney's great. Disney's fine. Look at their stock. It's over $200.
You're the clown shoes, clownfish. You
clown shows. Everything's great. Everything's great. When you've got Michael Eisner saying Disney has suffered, you've got the Hollywood Reporter showing the Magic Kingdom burning down. Don't you sit there and fucking tell me that Disney's fucking fine. Disney hasn't been fucking fine in fucking years, okay? Shove it up your fucking mouse hole.
Ooh, good thing I was taking a shower every time you said the F word. I'd be dead.
I could have done the Mickey voice. That would have been the bad Mickey voice.
Okay, go ahead.
Shove it up your mouse hole, Bob.
Oh,
fuck you.
You suck at that so bad. I mean, it's like your Skeletor. It's funny, but it's not right. Sorry.
Where the fuck is that bitch Goofy at? Lazy son of a bitch. Gonna outsource your job to China. What the hell does Goofy do? What does he do?
I don't know. Make mistakes?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Sounds like you should be on the board. I'm sorry.
So, Bob Iger tells employees he wants to quiet down culture wars, respect the audience. This is actually...
Oh, yeah, right.
Christopher Rufo put this up. Now, he's the one who actually blew the whistle on the diversity and inclusion
The
initiative.
Reimagine Tomorrow.
So, the Reimagine Tomorrow. That was set up under Bob Iger.
Yeah, I love that
everybody.
quiz. That was so good.
That was corporate.
The privilege quiz.
The privilege quiz. How privileged are you? I'm like, if you can afford to go to a Disney park at all, you're probably more privileged than most of the employees there right now. But he's like, yeah, he wants to quiet it down. Basically, we said this before. There are people at Disney who have massive disdain for certain consumers, certain customers, and have strong political views. They just let the mask stay on. Chapek was clumsy and the mask fell off, and we all found out what they actually thought, you know. And a lot of people were trying to say, well, Chapek was trying to get rid of the political. I'm like, that's not what I did not get that vibe from him at all. Did you get that vibe? I just saw a guy that was a deer in the headlights, toeing the line.
He had made comments that basically I think he was trying to separate themselves from the politics. Like he didn't want to get embroiled in it. But then, like we see all the time with Hollywood in general, a couple of people get mad about it. They're not the majority, but there's a few people, and they yell bigotry, hypocrisy, islamophobia, and then they're afraid of looking bad. It'd be a real shame if everybody knew what a bigot you were, Bob. And so they're so afraid to look bad, they overcorrect in the wrong ways. Yeah. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. So here's the thing. I think, and I'm going to tell you the truth, and we're going to see a lot of this. This is what's going on at Warner Brothers. This is what's going on at Twitter. This is what's going on at other companies. These companies can't afford to alienate anybody at this point. Okay? So I think they're going to be, at least for now, they're going to be a little more careful about the messaging because they want to make sure that they get every damn dollar they can get. Because
they don't have the luxury of alienating half their audience.
No, you no longer have the luxury of alienating a large portion of your audience. And I think that they will use this opportunity to maybe do a soft reset on Star Wars or Marvel or something.
I don't know if they'll go that far. It seems like an awful, because people
soft
are tired.
Reset, like let's not make shitty movies. Let's make less shitty movies.
I think you can't put that genie back in the bottle at this point. So anyway.
Well, you have to pay for that. You have to pay extra for that.
Okay.
Anyway, put the genie back in the
bottle.
bottle.
Not if it's soft. I'm not paying for that.
Soft genie. The flaccid
okay,
genie.
can we wrap this up?
We're wrapping this up. Anyway, we're going to see what happens, guys. This is going to be really interesting. We thought we were going to run out of Disney news. We're not going to run out of Disney news. This is going to go on for years. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.